Hello and welcome once again to Clear Skies Retirement with Jay Kirkwood at Secure Financial Management. My name is Randy Cook, and each week Jay and I sit down here and talk through some of the issues of retirement, some things you might be worried about, maybe wondering about, and maybe you're getting all ready for retirement and you wonder, am I missing something? Well, maybe you want to sit down with Jay and go through that. Jay, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Randy. How have you been?
I am good. There are a lot of questions out there when it comes to retirement, and certainly with markets right now. Boy, there's a lot going on. I mean, financially speaking, there's just a ton, isn't there? I got to believe that people are coming in the door and they're asking a lot of questions. Is this going to affect me? Is this going to affect me? Yeah. And it's good to have that person on your side that you can bounce those things off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. Since about January 20th, it's gotten pretty
What happened on that day?
I don't know. It's a weird date to start from, but that's what I've noticed. But yeah, so that's the expectation we've set with clients is like, hey, we're not saying there's a recession. We're not saying there's a crash coming, but there probably will be more volatility with what we've got in government right now, right?
Yep. A lot of ups and downs. And actually, I saw an interesting story that President Trump has actually created a new financial strategy on Wall Street because he usually talks about tariffs on Fridays. He's saying, we're gonna get the tariffs going for this country and that country, and then the market goes down on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday we all digest that, and then the market goes down on Monday too. But then he comes back and goes, okay, well we proposed it and they came to the table, and then by Wednesday the market goes back up again. Every Wednesday the market seems to go up, so people are going in, they're buying the dip early in the week, and then they're selling on Wednesday, and they're making a profit. So,
so two things on that, right? So when was it? It was a few weeks ago now. It was on a Friday, right? He announced the tariffs on Mexico and Canada, right?
Right.
And on the Saturday, my cousin, who's in Australia, right, was texting me, and he said, hey, are you guys worried about these tariffs that Trump's put on? Are your clients kind of concerned and stuff? And I said, hey, look, man, they'll probably be off by Monday. And they were. They were. And secondly, I tell you what, if I was going to follow anybody for investment advice and investing, it would be Nancy Pelosi. She just kills it. Somehow, right? She kills it.
I love it. Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about these markets now because there's a lot of people that are looking at this year with all of this up and down and all of this turmoil and saying, hey, it might be kind of a weird year. Drew Pettit is a market strategist at Citi. It used to be Citibank. Now it's just Citi. And just recently he said, this is not a time to swing for the fences. This is a time for risk management, but not risk avoidance.
Right.
Now, when I look at that, I go, well, that's not a groundbreaking statement. That could be said for a lot of retirement planning. But does that kind of resonate with you in saying, okay, this year we're not going to swing for the fences. We're going to be kind of cautious. Or is that where you put all your clients anyway in kind of that kind of a structure?
Yeah. So, who knows who he's directing that message towards, right? Is it somebody who's in the accumulation phase, they're working and they've got 20 more years before they retire? The problem is once you get into retirement, you need to always be preparing for what he's mentioning, frankly, because we've lost the most important element when it comes to investing, and it's time, right? We don't have a 20-year runway ahead of us where we can take the big ups and downs that will happen in the market. This is the truth, and I don't want to sound dramatic like this, but if you get really unlucky with your retirement and you retire with a portfolio that's too aggressive and your timing is very bad and we have a big correction in the markets, it's fair to say you will never recover from it. You just won't. And so the best example I give is with 2008. We all saw that. And I don't know too many people that this happened to, but it's got to have happened out there, is if you retired, I think the market peaked in October of 07, I think is when it peaked. And then, 2008 and then the beginning of 2009 is when all the real bad stuff happened. So say you retired around the end of 2007 and you didn't have your portfolio set up the right way. You didn't have your investments allocated. You didn't have some growth and some protection and some income. You didn't do any of that. And you say, hey, the markets have been awesome for the last 3 years. It's just roll the dice. It's sunny skies forever with this. and then you lose 50% of your portfolio, you're in a little bit of a pickle there, I would say.
Yep.
Because if your portfolio goes down 50%, do you know how much you need, what your recovery has to be just to get back to where you started?
It's a lot more than what you lost, isn't it?
It's a lot more than 50. It's 100% because my million went to 500,000. Well, I've got to double that thing just to get back to where I is. The double whammy on it is probably you need to keep taking income from that portfolio while it's down. I've got to fund my retirement somehow, right? What am I going to do? We call that a sequence of returns, right?
Right.
If your sequence of returns, meaning the first couple of years you have in retirement, the first year is real bad, or you get a couple of back-to-back, I think it was 2000 and 2001, or 2001, 2002, we had back-to-back down years. If you get unlucky like that, you're probably not recovering because you're not 40 anymore. You're not 45 anymore. You're not 50. You don't have 10, 15, 20 years of runway left. You've got what you've got.
Well, we talk about, people in retirement. Imagine if you did retire in the year 2000 and then you saw your money get cut in half by 50%, and then you clawed your way back, and then it happened again in 2008. I listened to somebody speak just recently, and they said, well, let's not talk about somebody who was in retirement. Let's talk about somebody who was young and they had a family at that time. So maybe you had a baby in the year 2000 and you had all sorts of 401k money and money in the market, and it went down 50% and then came back up, and then it went down again 30, 40%. It was 2016, 2017 before you broke even, which means that child went all the way through school and graduated from high school before you got back to even. That is scary. When we throw these numbers around saying, oh, the market gives 8.3%, and that's what historically it gives. It doesn't do that every year, does it, Jay?
Yeah, and just to change that, so it's a great analogy you gave there. Basically, that baby graduated from high school and there was no gains, essentially, right? What's a way scarier story is that somebody was 60 and they retired at the start of that.
There you go.
That's a way scarier story, isn't it?
Yeah,
right?
it is.
And, we've talked before about people starting to have financial amnesia. That's one of my biggest concerns for people. Is there's not a lot of things in the world you can control, right? We can't control the weather. We can't control the traffic. We can't control what other people do, but we can control what we do, right? So all those few things that we can control, make sure that we're controlling them to the best of our ability. And one of them is having your investments allocated the right way.
Yep. Having that protection mindset when you get into retirement. You look at your number right now and you say, oh, wow, this has been great. I've been saving for 30 years, and boy, that's a nice number if it doesn't go backwards. And that's really what it is to sit down and have a retirement plan, is to say, I need growth, I need income, but boy, I need protection. I don't want that number to get cut in half like it did when I was, going through 2008. Give us a call. Let's talk through that. It's 210-985-6200. We'll do a no-obligation free meeting and give you an evaluation of where you are right now. 210-985-6200, or use our website, which is retire210.com. That's retire210.com. There's a form fill down at the bottom of our website. You can put a little information in there, and our team will reach out to you. We'll get a date on a calendar. Now, when we talk about retirement, one of the big decisions that you have to make is, when do you want to retire? Do you have an age in mind? Is it a number that you achieve in your bank account? What is it? Well, there's a new study out that says the average person retires now at age 62. But it varies by age group. If you were to ask a millennial between the ages of 25 and 40, when do you think you'll retire? They'll say 59. If you ask Generation X, 41 to 56, they'll say, I'm going to retire at 60. But if you ask baby boomers, they will say 68. So why is it that the group that's closest to retirement is pushing off retirement as long as possible? What's going on here?
I think it's perception. There's two reasons, right? I'll get to the real one in a second. The first one's more of a funny one.
Okay.
It's perception of time, right? Because my daughter asked me a couple of days ago, my 4-year-old was like, how old are you, Papa? I was like, well, how old do you think I am? She's like, you're pretty old. 13? I was like, no.
That's awesome.
Anyway,
got a lot of facial hair for a 13-year-old.
Exactly right, yeah. But, I think what this really is It's easy when you're 40 and retirement is 20 years away, 19 years away, to be like, yeah, 59, 60, it probably sounds about right. It's very different and scary, I would say, once you're there knocking on the potential door of retirement, because everything is about to change, and that gives people pause. So first of all, we talk about this all the time. If you don't have a plan, you are going to be scared. You are going to be nervous because you don't know what you have and what it relates to, what it means for retirement income, all right? But even putting that aside for a second, even people that have a plan, yes, they're not as scared, they're not losing sleep at night, or they shouldn't be because we've got everything planned out. But is it a big change in life? I would say so. You're going from a job where you're working probably 40 plus hours a week and you're getting a paycheck and you've got your health insurance covered likely like through your job, and you're accumulating wealth in a 401k or whatever plan it is that you have access to. We're about to do a 180 in our lives, in our financial lives, and even in your personal lives, right? Now we've got 40 plus hours. What are we going to fill that time with? I'm sure you'll find something, but what are we going to do with this extra time that we have now? I don't have a paycheck that's coming in anymore every 2 weeks. I'm not going to be contributing to my retirement plan as I have been, and I've been watching it grow. Now I have to support myself from that bucket of money I've been saving from. Now it's even more important that I protect that bucket of money. So is it surprising that a 40-year-old millennial would say, yeah, I'll retire at 59, and then when they get there, it's really not 59 because they've got to warm up to that idea that we just talked about.
Yeah, there's something out there. Actually, it's something called the one more year syndrome. It's people who get to 64 and they go, I'm going to go at 65. Then they get to 65, they go, one more year, then I'll walk away from the paycheck. And then they get to 66, 67, they go, maybe I can go one more year. And sometimes that's a good thing. And sometimes maybe not. Maybe you need the confidence to be able to walk away at 65. And you're just looking for that math to work out. Well, how are we going to know that unless we do the math? And that's what we do here at Secure Financial Management. Give us a call, give us a look, and we'll do that math for you. What if the news was, you know what? You can keep working if you want, but you can also retire if you want. That's a good position to be in.
Absolutely.
210-985-6200 is our number. 210-985-6200 or retire210.com is our website. If you go there, you'll see down at the bottom of the page a form fill. You can put a little information in there, and our team will reach out to you. Or 210-985-6200. Okay, so people using a financial advisor. I mean, this is really the reason that we have this show, is to say there are ways that you probably need some help. Jay is a guy who does this every single day. Come on in and let's get an evaluation and maybe we can help. Well, there's a lot of people that take us up on that advice, but 75% of people that go into retirement don't use a financial advisor. Why? Well, here's a list of a couple of things. Number one, they have a hard time finding someone they can trust. Number two, they think it's going to be very costly. Number three, they think they can do it themselves. Number four, they don't want to give up control of their money. Number five, they've had a bad past experience. Or number six, they've done some things in their life that they're not very proud of. They got into that 401k because there was an emergency, and they have a fear of judgment. All right, so let's kind of knock these off one at a time here. Finding someone you can trust. I got to believe that's a number one right there. How do you deal with that, Jay?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the financial industry has not done itself any favors with this side of it, right? So the most famous of them all, Bernie Madoff, right?
Sure.
Didn't help the reputation, did it? Right. We even had somebody here locally just recently that was arrested for misuse of client funds. And I can tell you that myself and every other good financial planner or advisor that I know, we get very upset with those sorts of people because it makes our job harder, right?
Sure.
So the next time someone comes in to see you, they're thinking about, well, what about that last person that got arrested because they stole client money? I mean, it makes sense. I would do it as well. Yeah. I mean, the best thing I can recommend with things like this is ask some important questions. So that book that I wrote, Wall Street's Game, if somebody wants to, I think it's on Amazon, you can buy it. We've got a checklist in the back there that says, if you're going to use an advisor, ask them these questions. And it's stuff like, do you use a custodian? And we'll touch on it a little bit here, right? Do you use a custodian so you're not taking control of client funds? Are you a fiduciary? There's different things you can ask to try and safeguard against that problem. You know, when you said this is the number one, if it's not number one, it's got to be pretty close, because someone's done a great job of saving money in their 401k or their IRA for their whole life. And now I've got to trust this guy that they're going to do the right thing by me. That's a tough one.
So the idea that you're turning your money over to this person, I'm going to skip around just a little bit here because they don't want to give up control of their money.
Right.
In essence, we're not pushing my 401k over to Jay Kirkwood. He's putting it in his account, and then he's going to manage it, and hopefully he makes us money. That's not how it works, is it?
So this is what I always tell people when we'll have people come in, we'll put a plan together for them, and we'll talk about, if you want to work with us, this is what it looks like. And this is one of the things I lead off with. You are never going to write me or the business a check, right?
Okay.
Nothing will ever be in our name. We use a third-party custodian to hold all of our client funds. So the custodian we use is Schwab, right? So I don't even talk much about that. It's a household name, right?
Sure.
So all of our clients have accounts in their name at Schwab that they own, they control. There's no ownership by anybody else.
Gotcha.
We also have a relationship with Schwab, so we can help allocate the funds in their account. There's never, and I always tell people, whether you work with us or you work with somebody else, you should be asking the question, do you have a custodian that is almost like an impartial third party? Because there's several things. It is the ownership side of it, okay? But it's also, am I getting a true report on what's happening with my assets? Because let me go back to Madoff just for a second, okay? So as stupidly simple as this sounds, this is the way Madoff did it, right? People wrote Madoff a check. So what did I say before? Don't write them or the business a check, all right?
Don't do
That's
that.
the first thing they do.
All
Then
right.
Madoff went and put that money in a checking account in his name. And then he spent it.
Yep.
And then he was also, because he was essentially the custodian, right, in this scenario, then he also issues the statements and the summaries of how the accounts are doing. So he can write any fairy tale he wants about how things are going so well. If you've got a third-party custodian, they're there holding the funds for you in your name, and they're also the ones producing the statements showing you everything that's going on, the good, the bad, or the ugly. And isn't that what you really want? You want the truth. You don't want a fairy tale told to you.
All right, talk to me about cost. Some people will say, well, I don't think I have enough money to rationalize a financial advisor, or I think it's going to be really expensive. Let's talk about transparency, and let's talk about cost.
Yeah, let's start off with cost because it's an important one, right? Now, I would start off the conversation saying, if you want to work with a professional in whatever industry it is, it's not going to be free, right? You're going to pay for it. If you go to a doctor, if you go to an attorney, you go to a CPA, you're going to be paying for it. Now, I think the second part of that is how much am I paying and what am I getting for it? I think those are the two things. I mentioned on another show we had, I can't remember how long ago it was, that we have a lot of people come to us that they already have an advisor. And so my question is always like, well, why are you here if you've got an advisor? There's something up if you're coming here talking to me and you've already got somebody that you're working with.
Yeah.
And they say, look, he's a nice guy. I think he's done okay for us. It's fine. But he really just manages my investments. I'm getting to retirement and we've never had a discussion about retirement planning and what does this investment actually mean for me in living the me I want to live in retirement, right? And they say, like, it's almost a situation of we've outgrown them and we need somebody like you to come and step in, all right? So yes, we offer investment management, but we also offer retirement planning. We offer tax management. We offer estate planning as well. And that's what I think you have to look at is, if I'm going somewhere and I'm going to pay a fee, what am I getting for it? So if somebody said, well, I don't want to pay a fee, and they're very, very good at investing and they understand everything and want to do it themselves, go for it. We don't really want to work with those sorts of people because they can do it themselves and we can't add value, so we don't want to be involved in that. We want to bring value to people. But that's not most people. Most people we find, they get caught up on the cost side of it. And it's the old idea of, hey, I'm saving pennies, but I'm losing dollars.
Well, is there enough information out there for you to probably do your own? Sure. Do you want to? Do you really want to? While you're in retirement and you're on that trip to Italy, do you want to be looking at the markets? Do you want to be worried about the stock market and if you're going to get home? Instead of first class, you're going to fly coach. Really? That's really what you want to? I don't think so. And when you sit down and have that plan where we can set it in motion and we can review it and go back over it each and every year, that's probably what you want, and we would love to provide that for you. Give us a call. Give us a look on our website. Our website is retire210.com. Retire210.com. Jay talked about his book. When you go down to the bottom of the page, when you fill out that form, we'll get you a copy of the book as well, Wall Street's Game. You can also give us a call, 210-985-6200. 210-985-6200. If you've enjoyed this podcast, you want to hear more, have it delivered straight to your favorite podcast platform by hitting the like, follow, or subscribe button. And again, thanks for listening to the Clear Skies Retirement Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Investment advisory services offered through investment advisory representatives at Secure Financial Management, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed are not designed nor intended to be applicable to any person's individual circumstances. It should not be considered as investment advice, nor does it constitute a recommendation that anyone engage in or refrain from a particular course of action. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Secure Financial Management is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Secure Financial Management is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Wholesalers Insurance. Jamin J. Kirkwood, Texas Insurance License number 1421850.